After over a month of building, in today's video it's finally time to finish off the Lego Castle project, and for that I'm starting off by taking out this chunk of the mountain. Finally, all this modularity I've added really pays off, because I'm using that back in my working area to now prepare the next wall sections. First of all, this diagonally running wall that now seamlessly connects to the straight section, and I've gotta say I've really perfected this building technique with the walls over the past months of building the castle. And after I've spent several days preparing the next different sections of the castle, it was now time to replace this chunk of the mountain back into the hillside. Of course, at this scale everything is a bit under tension, and you really feel that when placing in this large module, but fortunately enough everything works perfectly fine. These are the two inner walls I've prepared, then this bigger outer diagonal wall, and finally the last rounded off tower, which then, having connected everything, looks like this, leaving us with one problem we already had last video: the castle keep being too small. And therefore I'd say that's the next point we need to work on. And first of all, I'm adding interior, because I thought this is such an accessible building that it honestly was worth the interior. First of all, with this curved stone staircase leading up to the first floor, which, as you can see right there, also has a wooden floor, which honestly makes this entire area already look much cozier. And the reason for that being is that this is actually the main bedroom of the castle. Of course, we don't have that much space in there, but I think everything still works considering the scale we have available right there. Then a ladder leading onto the second floor, because my thought now was that you might actually, in case of an attack, would be able to remove that ladder so attackers can't reach the second floor, which is in fact the armory, because of course, as the last defense post, you need weapons in order to defend your castle. Everything is then finished off with this back wall module right there, which really neatly fits into place and is then connected by the top of the castle keep. And what I was then thinking about is, but I'm not too sure about this, if we should decorate the castle, since we also have all this filming going on up there. It might actually be an option to add flags and different coat of arms and so on. I mean, it would fit all the action going on in the interior. I've also, by the way, extended as well, but I'm going to show you that at the end of the video, because for now I'd say let's focus more on the outside of the castle. And first of all, let's continue with more details. This is a wish from the comment section from our last castle update video, and now I think I don't have to explain what this is supposed to be, with the sword being stuck in that little rock right there, right in front of the castle. I've then of course once again finished everything off with a ton of vegetation, and also continued with the vegetation on the left hand side of the castle. The reason for that being, I wanted to make the forest look less dense, so we can actually add some storytelling right in there in just a second. For now, we still have to finish off the rest of the hillside, as well as start the tunnel. Of course, we need to have some sort of tunnel portal coming out from that hill. Therefore, I've prepared the next base plates right there, and now I of course have to take measurements for the tunnel, and therefore also experimented with all the trains and tested if they still fit through, because this could potentially be the biggest disaster possible if you complete the tunnel and then after finishing the entire hillside you notice that the train doesn't really fit. Believe me, I've had that happen before, and therefore I'm quite careful when it comes to tunnel designs nowadays. For the rest of the hillside, I've then first of all prepared all the stabilization, and now next up I was able to continue with the normal basic bricks as the sort of second base layer for the hillside. Of course, everything will be once again finished off with plates, vegetation and trees and so on. You guys know the hill building technique by now, therefore I don't have to comment on that any further. Next up, it was time to continue with the tunnel wall. I've started building right there from the interior, and on the outside I've now decided to use these sort of arches in order to make the train half visible when it passes through. I've used a similar building technique about 2 years ago or something with the main mountain in the back of the Lego city, but on a much smaller scale and with smaller arches, but I still absolutely loved the overall vibe and look of this, and therefore in this section I thought this is the perfect opportunity to hide the ugly part of the backdrop with the radiator right there and all the sockets and so on, and therefore these arcades are simply the best solution possible. This is now the giant piece of back wall I've prepared. It's only built out of masonry bricks, so nothing too special right there. Of course, the structure of the castle is much more complicated, but honestly, when something is so far in the back, I don't see too much sense in spending an absurd amount of time with details such as the wall structure and so on. The top of that tunnel is once again constructed out of modules, so should a train derail or something, you can really easily access this area. And now I'd say, after having finished the shell construction work of these arcades, let's focus more on the storytelling right next to the castle. Hidden inside the forest, I now wanted to extend the story we started last video with the film crew currently recording a movie about a past battle that has happened up here at the castle. Therefore you can see the defending knights right there, the attackers down here, first of all down there the archers, and then the ladder where currently knights are climbing the castle, and therefore we don't have a full-scale battle going on, but just this little hidden part right here where you know that the movie is currently being recorded. Up there you can see that, for example, and I might also add more camera guys down here so it fits more into the time frame of the Lego City, but at the same time we don't get any disturbance in the overall vibe of the castle. One thing I still haven't shown you yet regarding the interior of the castle is that this building can also be taken apart, and then you can see the blacksmith inside, and then especially in combination with the castle keep, and I find this so extremely satisfying to take apart. This then now really comes to life. Of course you can put on the top without the back wall, so now from the front perspective the castle looks complete, but still you can take a look inside. Which now brings me to the before and after picture of the castle. This is what it now looks like afterwards. Of course, a lot of interior work that has been done, but not only the castle has seen some progress, but also you can see that right there we finally have fully functional signals as well as a completely automated train ecosystem within the Lego City. And to show you how that works, I'd say let's follow around the trains a little bit. Let's focus on the crocodile in front, because right here the signal switches to green. Crocodile passes and now it turns to red because that part of the train track is now blocked. Back there you can for a brief period see the train passing through the arcades, and then it leaves the tunnel. And now it gets interesting because at this section we have our railroad crossing, and if you take a look at these LEDs right there, they are of course also blinking as the train passes. The next signal also switches to red once again, and now you can see that right there at this signal, this shows red. We focus on the other train once again, because in the meantime the second train is also in the train station, also has a red signal, and as soon as that turns green, this train now is allowed to leave into that tunnel, which then later on leads on the exact same train track as the crocodile was moving on earlier. Now the red train enters that train station where just a second ago the crocodile was, and of course normally the trains would crash. Therefore in the meantime the crocodile has left that train station, passes our red train on the other side of the train tracks, and then comes around the corner into the train station where it started. I know it's all been super hectic, but I have a little surprise for you at the end how you can much better follow the trains through the Lego City. This is what everything currently looks like at night. Of course it adds so much life having the different signals switch, and also you can see the landscape around the signals turn red or green depending on the signal what is currently shown. And as you know, this is just the beginning of all the lighting and automating, because we need to get lights inside the trains. But that's a whole different story we're working on right now. Now to my surprise, you guys might have guessed it, it's time for another train ride through my entire Lego City, and for that I've linked a separate video right here on the screen, which I've uploaded just a second ago. Have fun following the train and looking at the signals, and with that, till next time.